Time to fire up the VCR. This one's my favorite. That was gold.
Welcome to Analog Jones in the Temple of Film. I'm Steve.
Matt.
And we are a VHS podcast that looks at the box art, trailers, and behind the scenes, and at the very end, we put something in our museum, just like Indiana Jones. By the way, this is just random thoughts here. Like, we're so big into this, sometimes I buy movies just for the box art, never even seen it.
Oh, I've been doing that since childhood. Like, I never subscribed to the never judge a book by its cover. Well, I don't read, but never judge a VHS by its cover. And I always just buy tapes if I like the cover.
All right, man, what is our final animation in your animation month?
We are looking at An American Tail, Fievel Goes West.
This holiday season, America's best-loved tale continues. As Steven Spielberg presents An American Tail, Fievel Goes West, rated G, starts Friday.
The second film of the Steven Spielberg American Tail series.
Now, when's the first time you watched this?
This particular one?
Not this particular one, but like as a kid.
Fievel Goes West or American Tail?
Either one.
So I saw Fievel Goes West first.
That's interesting.
In probably 1991, when it first came out on tape. So probably 92.
92.
And I was 2 or 3 at the time, and this was just like a childhood movie. We are reviewing my VHS from 1991. It has seen some weather. Yeah, that my history is with the first one. It wasn't until later into my childhood that I went back and watched the first one.
Yeah, that one's a lot darker.
I remember thinking, this is good, but I like Fievel Goes West. Like, I remember thinking, like, this is a solid film. I like this movie. But I'm gonna want to rewatch Fievel Goes West.
Yeah, I first saw the original one probably, I don't know, when I was like 8 years old, so probably about 1990, and loved it, because it was one of like, I don't know, maybe 10 VHSs I had at my grandma's. So it was one of those I had watched a lot. And it's funny going back an adult and rewatching it, you're like, whoa, wow, Don Bluth, you do not mess around. First one, there's, he's not afraid to show kids the darker side of life. Now, this one I do remember when it came out, and I hadn't probably seen this since early 90s, 93, 94. It's been a long time, but I remember enjoying it as a kid. So it was kind of interesting to revisit this.
I guess, yeah, my history sort of with it, too, is like, I was younger, and I probably watched the shit out of this tape and just over and over and over as a kid. But it was one of those movies when I became like kind of an older kid, 8 or 9 or whatever, I just sort of abandoned it. And I was like, this is for little kids. I don't want to watch, like when you get to that age, like 10 years old, you don't want to watch little kid stuff anymore. And then it just sort of stayed tucked away at my parents' house until we dug it up for this. So I have not seen this in probably 20 years, so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's one of those that like I watched a lot as a little kid, but then just completely abandoned later.
I pretty much the same thing. Probably watched this a decent amount and then just stopped.
Yeah.
It just kind of, it's not it's not timeless. It's just one of those, it was there. It lived its moment.
It came out. I was a kid when it came out. It was for kids, so I saw it. It was one of just those situations, and I liked it. Even still being 10 years old and being like, I don't want to watch this, wasn't because I didn't like it anymore. It was just because that's not what a 10-year-old boy is into anymore. That's all.
Now, have you seen any of the other Amblin Entertainment animations that they did during this time period?
Well, tell me what they are.
Well, now this is interesting. Amblin Entertainment, and if anyone doesn't know that was funded by Spielberg and others in 1981. That's why Spielberg's name is all over so many movies, like say Gremlins, Back to the Future, Goonies.
Right.
It was his production studio, and they're still churning out some great hits. I mean, they're going.
Yeah, Amblin's still around. That Amblin feel, I think people really got a nostalgia for it again when Super 8 came out. a few years ago, and that's sort of what brought them back from the dead, because they were kind of like slow during the 2000s.
Yeah, they were very numb.
But yeah, this time during '91, they were everywhere. They were unstoppable.
Yeah, after American Tail came out, and then Land Before Time with Don Bluth, that's when they paired up. So then, right after that, they started Amblin Entertainment or Amblin Nation, and they had Fievel in the actual logo. So they only made 3 films, mostly because they did very poorly for the amount of money that they spent. So An American Tail, Fievel Goes West, and We're Back, A Dinosaur Story was being developed at the same time, so it's very hard to find budgets on these things. But Balto, do you remember that from '95? That was their last one.
Yeah, that was kind of a quiet movie, quiet release, kind of came out on video. I remember watching it probably when it first came out and then like just sort of instantly forgetting it.
Yeah, that's the movie that kind of killed this department. It folded right after that in 1997. They were going to do a Cats animation film, but that fell apart because Balto cost $31 million to make and only grossed 11.3 total. Ouch.
I like We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. I think that's a cute movie. I think it's a fun movie.
I've never actually seen that.
I like that one. I'm glad that one made it out. It's interesting because it was Spielberg and it was the same year of release as Jurassic. So it was during dinosaur fever.
Yeah, definitely. Sadly, it only made $9.3 million in the theater, and that was also one of the, bombs that they had. They had 2 big bombs in a row that just killed it. But later on, a lot of those animators and people went on to create DreamWorks, so it's not a total loss.
Right.
I mean, they learned their lesson.
Yeah.
And then they came out with Shrek and made $1 zillion.
Shrek, there's one we could talk about for a sec, but what an overrated movie that is.
Oh, he's always landing something with his controversial ones. I actually am not a big Shrek fan either. Yeah. I enjoyed them when they came out, but they just kind of... That was it for me.
I gave that one another shot. Because, I mean, a lot of the DreamWorks ones I do like. How to Train Your Dragon a whole lot. Both of those movies. And some of their other ones. And I was like, maybe I was being too hard on Shrek when it came out. And then watched it and was like, I don't like this.
I remember laughing a lot at the second one, and that's really... I don't remember anything about
Everybody
the third.
says the second one's better. I mean, I'm going to give the second one a shot, I think, still.
Jack, I'm gonna die. Oh.
That'll do, donkey. That'll do.
So, Matt, when you're walking around the VHS store, the video store, what made you rent this?
So here's our cover. It is 4 corners. We've got Jimmy Stewart character. Top, what's his name? Burp?
Wylie Burp.
We've got the Dom DeLuise cat in the one corner. We've got the sister Tanya Mouse in the bottom corner, and the spider cowboy in the bottom right. And then we've got, it's sort of like this wet, like that 90s like southwestern look that like everything was for a minute there. Like I think of like theme parks too had like those backlot style western things where they would put on western shows.
Or during a time period in the 90s where that like everyone was designing the interior of their home kind of western.
Right. That's the look of this. It's not like true western. It's that like 90s faux Kmart western. Which is fine, which is fun, like fun 90s nostalgia. I'm actually not talking shit about that. Steven Spielberg presents An American Tail, Fievel Goes West. An American Tail is almost small on here. Like they want to pronounce that the title is Fievel Goes West. As a little kid, I thought that was the entire title. I didn't even know that it was called An American Tail, Fievel Goes West. I just thought it was called Fievel Goes West.
Yeah, to me, it looks like they're trying to create, like, American Tail as something always above, and then they'll introduce a new movie. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Amblin would have been successful, and you would have had stuff like An American Tail, yada, 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 like, about different characters.
Yeah. But, so we see that, like, little bit of, like, that backlot western town with Fievel with his pop guns in the center, just looking cute in sort of his cowboy outfit that we see him in his like dream sequence, and then later in the film we actually get the credit block on the front of this one, which is kind of a rare thing, with the copyright in 1991 and the MCA Universal home video logo stereo surround all on the front. That's our front cover. And there's enough going on this cover that as a kid, absolutely would have picked this up.
Yeah, as a kid, this is so attractive. I mean,
Yes.
it gives you everything. Like, even the pop guns, you're like, close enough to real guns.
Well, even the pop guns, it's like me. It's a mouse, but it's like me. I've got my pop guns in the backyard. So
Now, I see Universal's on this. Did Universal did they distribute everything for Amblin?
I don't think they distribute everything, but I mean, that was mostly... I feel like they had like a first look deal type thing.
Okay.
They did a lot of...
Yeah.
They did all the animated ones that we were talking about. So they did the original American Tail, We're Back, Land Before Time, all of those.
And if you can't find this VHS to rent today, you can go on to Netflix because they have all of them.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't even know that these were on Netflix.
Neither did I. They must have some type of deal.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, if you look on the back, actually, it's copyrighted to Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment. So Amblin is not like a subsidiary of Universal. They are separate entities. So
Yeah, it's got to be some type of contract, like you're saying. Like,
yeah, they probably had a first look deal or something. Because so many of Spielberg's 80s and 90s movies came out through Universal. So many of them did.
he just must work well with them.
Yeah, they actually seem like the easiest to work with. On the side here, it's you've got the MCA Universal logo, which I love so much because I feel like I've seen that little logo on so many of my tapes. Like, that instantly shoots me back to the 90s when I see that MCA Universal logo.
And what does the MCA stand for?
That's the company that, like, Comcast owns Universal now. It's the company that owned them in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
So, like, their global whatever ownership, but Universal's obviously the distributor.
Are you going to read the synopsis right, Meow?
If you want me to.
Right, Meow?
Right, Meow. Yeah, so I'm picking this tape up. I'm taking it home from the video store, personally.
Yeah. Get ready for the cat puns, people. I'm bringing them.
So we flip it over to the back. We've got a quote from Gene Shalit of the Today Show. Tip-top terrific. Full of fun. A rollicking, endearing delight. It's a winner. Sure. We got 4 pictures. We got Fievel, the cat, Wylie Burp, and the evil cat, who John Cleese plays in the film, looking like he's about to cut Fievel because he's like wielding a knife, which is kind of a funny picture that you could only get away with on like an animated movie in the 90s because that would not fly today. Here's our description. It's pretty long. This is like a 4-paragrapher, so let's see if we can get through this together. Presented by Steven Spielberg, this delightful animated feature continues the adventures of Fievel, the brave young mouse who captured the hearts and imagination of audiences in An American Tail. The Mousekewitzes family discovers the streets of America are not all paved with cheese, and living in a mouse tenement does not offer the life they hoped for. Young Tanya dreams of becoming a famous singer, and Fievel wants to become a tough law dog like his hero Wylie Burp. Lured out west by the crafty entrepreneur Cat R. Waul, Fievel discovers the evil gentleman's true plans to turn settlers into mouse burgers. Enlisting the aid of his cat friend Tiger, the two team up with the legendary Wylie Burp to stop the feline gang's dastardly plot. Thrills and laughs come together in this heartwarming family film featuring the voices of James Stewart, John Cleese, Dom DeLuise, Amy Irving, and an engaging original score including the unforgettable Dreams to Dream sung by Linda Ronstadt. Color, 1 hour, 15 minutes, G. I should point out that this description goes like all the way to the bottom of the tape.
And you read it perfect.
Thank you.
Number 2.
You're going to
2.
do that. All right, we'll have a drinking game. Or how many cat puns are made.
Well, this movie does the exact same thing.
It's definitely an early version of that. Because I feel like that's all movies do now. Or like bad puns.
It's easy. It's an easy thing to put in a script. Just throw them in there. Some old man or some old woman's going to read it and be like, haha, my kids would love this. Let's buy this script.
That's the movie. That's the box. I'm in. I'm ready to watch it. I feel like I'm intrigued enough. I feel like they give away a little bit too much on the back, but I'm in.
I feel like you read me the entire story. I fell asleep for a second, but I came right back because I knew I had to get a cat pun in there.
Nice.
All right, let's put this tape in.
And now, our feature presentation.
What trailers did we get in this one, Matt?
Nuns.
Son of a bitch!
Nuns. We've been having a dry spell of trailers lately.
I know, it's rough. I mean, people come to us from all around the world to listen to these random trailers on these VHSs, and we are disappointing everyone.
I mean, we're warning them. We're like, hey, if you're going to buy these tapes looking for nostalgic commercials and VHSs, these ones aren't going to have it.
Yeah, I wish I knew, like, how to tell if there was if there was good trailers on it by just looking at the box. That's my superpower I want.
You want a superpower that tells you if that tape has good trailers or not?
Exactly.
That would be nice. But we're doing this service for people. We're giving the people that superpower.
That's true. That's true.
All right.
Let's break down this movie. Fievel and his family get kicked out of their apartment by cats. The whole plan is the cats are going to use them to build something, and then the cats are going to eat them.
Right. Cats are going to use them to build like a city out west to lure all the mice out there, and then they're going to eat all the mice. That's sort of their
cat burger, like the mice burgers.
Right, mouse burgers.
Burgers, yeah.
And yeah, that's basically the idea of the movie.
Of course, Fievel gets lost again.
Right, yeah. He goes off on his own adventure or whatever from the rest of the family. What I will say is what I like about this one starting off, you do not need to see the first one to get into this one. This starts you right off and tells you everything you need to know, and you're good. You're off and running.
Yeah, I think they did that on purpose because obviously Don Bluth wasn't working. Don Bluth's studio wasn't working on this one, so it was going to be different.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just like, we'll throw the family in there real quick. We'll see the cats attack. And, Fievel Mousekewitzes, which was played by Philip Gasser, I have no idea who that is.
No.
But I've heard his voice before, so I think he's just a voice actor.
Yeah.
I don't know if he actually did any acting. I didn't bother looking up anything on him.
It's fine.
Yeah,
we're good.
I don't care, because I really just cared about a few characters in this. But I will complain about the dad when he's just like, "Oh, America's hard. I'm trying to sell these violins and blah blah." I'm like, "Shut up, Dad. No one's gonna buy violins. That's why we're broke."
Get a real job.
It's like, stop complaining and start making shit that people will buy. Like,
I don't know. What do mice buy? Cheese? Make cheese-related things.
And they wanted to eat brie. Brie seems a little pricey. Maybe why don't you go down to the like mild cheddar? That seems
American cheese. Government cheese. But
you gotta make sacrifices for this family.
We get sort of that like really kind of depressing American Tale style of drama at the beginning of the movie, and then the movie almost turns into what I would describe as like again, I use this with like the description of the town, but basically like a theme park version of like a Western. Like you have the crazy sewer scene, which feels like a Universal ride, where they're going, as they're escaping the cats, they go down a sewer and they ride the waves, and it feels like a Universal ride. And then like once they get out west to the town, it feels like something like a Fievel Land, which I'll get into in the behind the scenes, but it feels like a Fievel Land in Universal Studios.
Don't they have a playground?
They do.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about it because I've been there.
I have not. I visited Universal and did not see that.
I played in it. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. But yeah.
But we get introduced.
It feels very theme parky.
When they escape into the sewer, well, I guess before that, the whole plan, we do get introduced to the main baddie in this. We have Cat Waul, which is voiced by John Cleese, which I think you read in that giant synopsis where I had a coma, and then I came out of it.
Yes.
So, he's great.
He's wonderful in this movie.
He is... There's two characters in this that I find great. It is Tiger, which is voiced by Don DeLuise, and then, we have John Cleese. Those two characters, my only problem with Cat Waul is the payoff at the end, and we'll get to it. Doesn't really feel like anything happened that bad to the villain for what... I mean, he was going to do a horrible thing.
He was going to eat all of them.
Yeah, well, I don't mind if a cat eats a mouse. That's just nature. But when you use them,
Yeah, to build a mouse land for all the mice to come and then eat them all, it's a little fucked up.
that's wretched. That's catastrophic.
Oh, there it is again.
3!
every time John Cleese or Dom DeLuise's characters are on screen, I can't take my eyes off the screen. And they're not even acting. It's just voice acting, but they're great at their parts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so did you feel in this that Tiger is in a different movie for like 3/4 of it, where you're like, so did someone have a really good idea about Tiger getting kidnapped by Native American mice and then almost being eaten and then pulling basically a Star Wars thing where they think he's a god?
They think I'm their tiger god. How lucky can you get? I mean, how did they know I was a vegetarian? It's funny how your appetite perks up when you find out that you're going to eat dinner instead of be dinner, you know? Innkeeper, more wine!
Yeah, I think that, and like what I just think when it comes down to it too, I think he is the Looney Tunes character of this movie, where everybody else is sort of almost reality based. Yeah, they're talking animals, but they're more real. He's like very elastic. He's very like Bugs Bunny like. He's very like the Looney Tunes, and you know,
it reminded me of Tiny Toons,
right? And that was Spielberg. Like Spielberg kind of did Looney Tunes the best in the 90s with like Animaniacs and Tiny Toons. So he feels like that character.
Yes, I do. I mean, part of it irritated me because I go, well, this is really killing the whole flow of this movie. Even though I enjoyed Tiger's character on its own, I also felt, going back to Fievel, is this even a Fievel movie?
No, it's a side character movie. That's all it is.
That's why, like, this movie doesn't really... It has a beginning. It kind of has a middle, but it doesn't really feel like it has an end. Like, I feel like this script feels... it needs another polish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I could totally see that. I kept thinking throughout the movie, and this is probably pacing and just like some of the choices the movie makes, it's a weird movie.
Yeah.
It's some weird choices, some weird ways we get from A to B, some weird roundabout ways we get from A to B in the movie. But like, it is truly a bizarre film.
Yeah, I forgot Tiger was in the original. I don't know why. I just did. And I think because he had a different look. Remember, he had that giant M on his shirt in the original one. This one, Tiger, just feels like I don't know, something was wrong. Something was off. Because I did go back and watch An American Tail after watching this. So I did this the Little Matt style. I watched Fievel Goes West and then went back. And we'll talk about that when I get into Don Bluth and my little love of Don Bluth animations. So going through these characters and then getting to Miss Kitty, which was voiced by Amy Irving, which is Spielberg's ex-wife. Shh, it'll get awkward if we talk about that.
Yeah, don't tell anybody.
Spielberg's listening.
Yeah, since he listens to all of our episodes. We dug Ready Player One. Well, Steve didn't. I did. Send me money.
Send Matt lots of money. Because they'll probably eventually fall over to me, hopefully, right?
Yeah, right? Be like, don't tell Spielberg, but here's a 20.
Yes! So, Miss Kitty, talk about Tiger really hitting a home run here with Miss Kitty. I mean, she's out of his league.
Right. And, like, he knows it. And he's like, how is this happening? But he is to his credit, he is 100% himself the whole time during that. And she loves it for some reason.
Well, until he pretends to be a dog.
But he's still dorky and he's still himself. Like, he's playing, he's playing himself as a dog. Like, he still stays true to his goofy roots, and she loves him for it. So.
Now, did you find the connection between Kat Arwal and, was it Tanya? Fievel's sister, Tanya, which had the voiced by Kathy Cavadini. I don't know who the hell that was. I don't know if she sang it too. I don't know if they got a singer I really, we should really do our research.
No, it's fine.
Fuck it.
It's fine.
They'll
do it if they're listening.
It's an early '90s.
If they care enough, they'll do it.
But anyway, so the dynamic between Waul and her, where he's just like, "Don't hurt the talent, the diva."
Trigger the mousetrap!
It's a giant mousetrap! It's a giant mousetrap! They're gonna squash the mice!
Now! Stop! You'll crush the diva! Freeze, you miserable vermin!
Yeah, because it basically her dream, because Fievel has the dream of being like a Western gunslinger. Her dream is to be like a singer, and like out west all the dreams come true, so they go out west, and Waul brings her up to basically be like a star singer. He like makes good on his word and like helps her be a star, and he like nurtures the talent, but there is something creepy there.
Yeah, okay, this is what I'm trying to get to.
Yes.
What is this? Is this like a weird, creepy love vibe thing? Or
I don't feel like it's sexual, which is good. I never got a sexual thing. But it was weird. It was like weird, though. It was like creepy uncle syndrome. It was like, you're building me up a little bit too much. You're nurturing me a little bit too much. It was weird.
I did like Miss Kitty, though, taking in the mouse right away. Now, so is Miss Kitty and Tiger, do they not eat meat? Or just they won't eat mice?
I just don't think they eat mice.
Okay.
I think they're just sworn off mice, that's all.
I just didn't
Well, wait,
know.
no, he's a vegetarian.
Yes, Tiger's a vegetarian.
He says he is. I don't know about what her story is because I've only seen the first one once in the 90s. But he says he's a vegetarian. He only eats vegetables and fruits.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering about that because she like takes on that mouse right away, and Miss Kitty's like, "Oh, honey, we're gonna pretty you up, and you're gonna take the stage by storm."
Yeah. I also sort of felt like with those scenes where he was building her up, and we see sort of like this world where like Miss Kitty is one of the performers and Tanya is one of the performers, it felt more, instead of like, hey, we're coming to the show, come see these women, it felt more like they were running a whorehouse. And they were the prostitutes there, which is something very Western, which is a trope from Westerns, like going to the saloon and then going to the bordello afterwards. This felt like a bordello, which maybe solidifies that like the relationship between the cat and her wasn't sexual, but maybe he was her pimp. And that's where things still get a little concerning because she's a child.
Oh, man, I never even thought about that, but you're completely right.
That's the feel I got immediately when we got to those scenes.
The cat house?
Yes, it's a cat house. Like, come on, guys. Like, it's right there.
Well, you all know you've stayed up late and watched that on Saturday night on HBO. Don't you lie to me.
Yeah, I've seen probably every episode. Would never lie about something like that.
I was talking to the mic, but I love how you're immediately...
Yeah.
Like, broke. You're like, I did it.
I did it. And I'm not ashamed about it. Anyway, yeah, it's a cat house. And one thing to this movie's credit I will give it is that there's a lot of, like, adult humor in here as well. And not in, like, the typical Disney way where it's like, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, we're talking about a penis. More just like, it just would go over kids' heads. Like, it's not necessarily sexual all the time, but it's very adult. It's very dry, too.
Yeah, the dry humor I saw, especially with Cat Arwal. I mean, John Cleese is just, like, constantly... Like, when he's about to eat, covers Fievel, I think, with, like, mustard or something like that, very Looney Tunes. I guess that just didn't scare us as kids back then. But, like, for 1 second, I was like, woo, this could get grim.
Yeah, and I mean, even the stuff with, like, the family losing their house and being sort of tricked into going cross country, and then once they get there, it's extremely disappointing. It's very adult. It's very adult.
Now, in the first movie, he gets lost when they're going to America and they're going to the Statue of Liberty and he finds it. So I get the first time you lose your kid, but this kind of has Home Alone 2 syndrome. When you lose your kid twice...
You're just bad parents.
You're just bad parents because the dad just... They look at Fievel when he falls off the train. They're like, there he goes! And I'm like, you don't, like, ask the train to... What the fuck? You don't... What are you doing?
I will say, I think... This movie, and maybe I'm just defending it, but like, I think what's happening here is every time he goes off from the family understands he's about to go on his own adventure because he's done it before in the last movie. So they just kind of let him go, which is still not good parenting, but I feel like they know he's like alive and gonna be fine. They're like, oh, he's doing his Fievel thing where he does his side adventure.
I think you're just letting the writers off with
I think I am, but like that's my like sort of excuse for this sequel.
Because this whole thing is wrapped around like, guys, we've got to make money with these animations. We lost Bluth Productions. Let's just regurgitate what he did with his story in a way. Let's put this in like a show tunes, Western BS fluff so we can make money. That's what this movie ultimately feels like. They're just cashing in on the first one because they know they can make a buck. And I'm not saying that the animation's good.
And the animation's incredible.
The animation's good. Voice acting is superb. And we haven't even got to James Stewart, which I actually think is one of the weaker voice acting in this.
Well, he's dying.
Excuse me, Mr. Dog. I was wondering if you could give me some help.
Another tumbleweed asked me for help. Oh, no, not again.
I know he's 158 years old when he did this, but at a certain point you got to talk to yourself like, is this name worth it? Because it's like he can barely finish a line sometimes.
Right.
And it worries me that like they were propping him up like a mannequin during his voice sessions.
Yes, like I was genuinely concerned for Jimmy Stewart during this movie.
I was like, just hold it in, buddy. Just let Tiger talk.
Yeah, I was worried about him. I honestly was worried about him the whole film.
Yeah.
But just like overarching what you're saying, I'm gonna disagree with the cash in. I feel like it does enough stuff. It does feel like they're selling me a theme park ride, which is probably more than likely the case. But I think the story does enough weird side things, and it's more Fievel's adventure than Fievel finding his way home. It's more Fievel finding himself this time, which I like. So I will defend that. I think I like this way this sequel went, as opposed to just regurgitating the first one.
And while I came off kind of aggressive with it, I don't have a problem with fluff. I mean, come on. Look at
every fucking thing we do is fluff, but yeah.
But this one I just took a little personal because of Don Bluth and how much I like his early animation. But this movie felt rushed, and it took 4 years to they started developing it in like 89, and this came out 92? 91.
So 2 years, 2 to 3 years.
It feels kind of rushed because a lot of animations will take 3 to 4 years.
This, to me, it didn't. It didn't feel rushed. It feels strange, like they're making a lot of weird choices.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Like, the script feels rushed.
But see, I didn't feel like when I feel a rushed script, I'm like, woof. Like sometimes it punches you in the gut with how like rushed it feels. This just felt more like they were maybe on a lot of drugs or something at the time when they were making the odder choice. And it's just how I felt.
I mean, I get it with some type of the odd things that they do, especially the whole tarantula character, which, by the way, John Lovitz, always love him as a voice actor. Get him in more things as much as you can.
Also, kind of unrecognizable a little bit too.
Yeah.
In this.
T.R. Cholula? No, wait. Tarantula? T.R. Chula.
Yeah.
I have it written down. I could look at it, but I refuse.
Chula. Yeah. Fun character.
Yeah.
I like this character. I don't get it, but I like it.
Yeah. To me, this, like, when I was saying the script is rushed, I'm coming at from, like, it feels like they don't really quite know where to go with this, because it starts off with the dark, like, life's hard, and then it goes off to, like, a crazy theme park, and then we've got Tiger, who's captured by little Native American Indian mices.
In a very racially insensitive scene at this point in time.
Aw, come on, fellas. I'm just a mangy old cat. I don't taste good without, ketchup. No, ma'am. I'm not your color. Could we just have an espresso and talk this over, please? How do you do?
Enema supanayata, numsep umasaya kopteb, umanuma soratayade.
Not in the 90s, son.
But loved it.
It was highly entertaining.
Yes. A little offensive probably now? Yeah, sure. But for the 90s, super fun scene.
We're going to Trump rule it. If it's offensive, you better make it entertaining.
And it was. It was fun. It was a fun scene.
We just lost 4 viewers.
I mean,
all Native American.
I'm not defending the choice. I'm just saying, at least it's fun.
I laughed.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I laughed uncomfortably too during that scene. I go,
yeah, this doesn't hold up anymore. But it's a funny scene. It works. It still works, and you could tell it's not born out of a place of malevolent hate. They just didn't know any better. That was still okay in the 90s.
I don't remember what they did offensive to it, because when I was watching this, I was doing the uncomfortable laugh. I can't even remember what they did I felt uncomfortable about.
When Tiger's hanging upside down and he has that line, "How are ya?" And I was just like, oh.
That's probably just Don DeLuise.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I was just like, ouchies. Can't do that anymore.
And then Spielberg came by. He's like, I love that line. Keep it.
Keep it, yeah. No, but at the same time, I feel like as a 3-year-old watching this, that was probably the funniest thing I ever heard at the time.
Probably. If we would have been in the theater, we'd have been like, ah! I love it when little kids kind of laugh like old men.
Yeah, when they just get so tickled they can't handle it. That would have been the moment for me. But honestly, Dom DeLuise's whole character, Tiger, it almost feels like he's improv ripping, a la Robin Williams, in Ferngully. Yeah. And they sort of animated around him, just sort of riffing, which is great, actually.
I feel like Don DeLuise kind of was the last generation's Robin Williams, because when you see him on the old Johnny Carson, or am I thinking about Johnny Carson, or the old singer that he used to go on the show with,
Dean Martin?
Yeah, the Dean Martin show, when they'd show him on there just drunk and giggling.
Yes.
I feel like you couldn't control Dom.
Yeah, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's fun to watch in an animated form. Just loose cannon, uncontrolled Dom DeLuise just riffing and being silly as hell. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah, I have. I've seen him in some bad movies from the 90s.
Oh, yeah, the late 90s when he just started doing really bad spoof movies.
Yeah. He reminds me of what Nick Cage is doing now, where he's just I'll do anything, fuck it.
He pretty much said yes to everything near the end of his career here.
Yeah. Except Nick Cage is doing it because he owes money
yes,
to
Nick
the
Cage
government.
Has to. There is a spoof movie from, I believe it's 1991 or 92, with Dom DeLuise called Silence of the Hams, which is hilarious, hysterical spoof comedy. And it's basically just a airplane spoof of Silence of the Lambs. But Dom DeLuise is one of the main characters in it, and he fucking just is doing his improv riff shit the whole movie. It's hysterical. Check it out.
I might have to check that out, because there's something, I know some people will think Don DeLuise is just goofy and absurd. You just can't take him. He's only for a certain crowd. And that crowd is me. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah. And I'm in that fan club, too. It works.
It's some type of
His stupid
weird
humor works on me.
Yeah, it's he's sitting there just blasting off nonsense, and it's dumb, and it's coming in one ear, and I go, this is so dumb, but it's not leaving the other ear.
Yeah, you're laughing. You're laughing. They're this is so dumb. That's what I love about this character in this movie, is that it is just Dom DeLuise. At this point, that's all it is. It's just him being himself, and it's great. Overall, yeah, I mean, they go out to the Western town. You have the Western Showdown. That's how we unceremoniously lose. Kadar Wally just gets shot into the air, and that's it.
And then he lands on the woman's lap, and she's
taken in, yeah.
Yeah, she does the, you're my baby.
Screams pussy, pussy, pussy as many times as she possibly can, to the point at which it starts making me like she's rubbing the cat in her tits and screaming pussy, 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 and I'm like,
oh no! Mommy's going to take care of you forever and ever and ever.
I'm uncomfortable.
I might have to rip that from this VHS just so you guys can hear. Yeah, because it was like, even I was like, are we doing this?
And that's sort of how his like story ends, and that's kind of how they end the movie. After
It's very anticlimactic.
Yeah, they
like,
sort of have the last shootout, which they sort of foreshadow at the beginning of with Fievel's dream, and then they like just sort of wrap it up real quick. But overall, I would say I think this is a cute movie, and I like it.
Yeah, to me, it's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah,
it's an early '90s kind of safe animation.
It's a little weird.
Yeah,
weird.
but I feel like a lot, like when we go back and watch them, we forget how weird some of it was because they were all challenging each other. You know?
They were all weird at this time.
Yeah, so it was like, it's a nice little period of like just weirdness.
Yes, but I will agree
it's
with you.
because Disney,
for that time, it was safe.
Little Mermaid came out a couple years before. Disney went right back into dominance, especially during this, which we'll get behind the scenes here when this was released. But it was like that weird period of time where Disney wasn't exactly dominating animation. So you got all these production companies coming out with weird. I mean, Ferngully is just odd.
Yeah.
It's an okay movie in my opinion, but it's odd.
Yeah, no, I loved all of these odd, like We're Back.
That's another, yeah.
Like, I loved all these odd animated movies that came out at this time. It was so fun. It was such a fun time for these. And, like, going back and watching stuff like Ferngully and Fievel, I like these movies. But I think they hold up to a certain extent. They're a little, they're a little soft, they're a little tame story-wise, but, like, they do enough weird stuff that I'm into it.
You know, it's not iconic. It's not timeless. You know, it's not Beauty and the Beast and all that. It's just a perfectly fine animation. That's it. That's my opinion on it. It's fine animation.
And I take Fievel Goes West over any thing that's coming out now, pretty much. I guess I like the Leica stuff.
Yeah, I can't go that far.
But
I mean, there's been some pretty good animations to come out.
Yeah, but there's...
Maybe they have you heard of this one? It's called Toy Story 3.
Oh, Toy Story 3, not a fan. Ferngully did it better. Still think that
one scene.
Still think that scene is a ripoff, though. But I'll take Amblin Nation over Pixar any day. I said it.
Not many people did because they closed shop.
But I'll take Land Before Time. I'll take We're Back.
That's what's interesting. American Tail and Land Before Time. Was before this. Mm-hmm. It's what set up this whole thing going on.
Like all of that stuff from that time, not just the Amblination titles.
We'll talk more about that in behind the scenes.
Let's get to it.
Hey, Caterwauling, we've come to close you down. Okay, chaps, it's become necessary to put these dogs through obedience school. Kill? Oh, look out behind you, kid.
Behind the scenes here. Now, let me tell you how much I prepared for the behind the scenes. Like, I just watched the movie. Most of my notes. I have 3 pages of notes here, folks. I love Don Bluth Studios when they first started doing their animations back when he left Disney and they defected. Have you heard about the walkout and everything? So, I mean, Don Bluth was working for Disney and so was his partner. And they're like, we can do better. His partner was Gary Goldman. And they walked out and he became their... Gary Goldman became their producer, Don Bluth the director and animator in these studios, which they opened. And they did anything they could to survive because, they did Dragon's Lair, the video game, they did Space Ace, and then one of my favorite all-time, The Secret of Nim, which is basically just mice,
also mice.
Yeah, so that's
I've never seen.
So he pitched
never
it.
Seen.
Oh,
Never seen.
That's like Don Bluth's art film.
Never seen it.
Because they did so much cool shit in it. Now, of course, it didn't make much money at the time, and it basically killed the studio for a while, because that's why they started doing video games. Like, oh shit, we need revenue. Because apparently no one wanted to see this art film that was awesome. But it did pick up a cult status, and now it's very popular amongst animators or anyone a fan of animation.
Or 80s movie fans.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a crossover appeal.
I love it. I own that on Blu-ray, DVD. I don't own it on VHS, and I'm kind of embarrassed. Yet. So, that's a tough one. I don't think it would be tough, but I've never seen it out in the wild.
I didn't know that it was something so special, so now I'll have to keep an eye out for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thank you. Now, sometimes don't like Spielberg's animation. I love his films. You know that. Sometimes the animation gets a little too goofy to me, a little too safe for kids, kind of like where he doesn't want to spook them. Don Bluth is the exact opposite. If you've seen a Don Bluth movie, he is not afraid to show kids the darkness so they can appreciate the light. Sometimes he's a little zany with his ideas, but I think him and Spielberg, when they combined, even though they fought a lot in An American Tail and Land Before Time, they made timeless classics. Those two films are just like, if you have a catalog of animated films that you need to watch, both of those are in there.
Right.
They're timeless. They're iconic. Sadly, it didn't work out because I think Don Bluth says it's not that he didn't want to work with Spielberg. It was because of the money. That's why he didn't work on this. And when I put in this film, before looking any of this up, I was like, Matt said this is a Don Bluth film, so and it took 10 minutes. I'm like, not a Don Bluth film.
Yeah, I just assumed because I knew the first one was. I just assumed. I didn't know.
Hey, I mean...
And I haven't seen it in 20 years, so I didn't even know.
Yeah, I'm not mad at you. I was just like, oh, yeah, mistakes happen. Whatever. So I don't want to get any more into Don Bluth, but man, I hope we do a Don Bluth film soon.
Yeah. I mean, Land Before Time, American Tail, Secret of Nim.
You could even do All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah.
Which had a rumored scene where he actually made a hell animation, and he kept it.
Nice.
He apparently posted it on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
So I don't have that Twitter. I have a Twitter. I just never go on it.
I don't know how to use it.
Yeah. We're old men here.
Yes.
We're he's.
I don't understand the kids.
He's 28 going on 50, and I'm 35 going on 100.
Exactly.
Going into the production of this was pretty interesting because Don Bluth is like, well, I need more money. Universal's like, no, you need to do this money for the same amount we gave you for the first one 5 years before. And he's like, nah, that means I'd have to fire some animators. I either get them more money or I'm not doing it. So he didn't do it. A lot of other people have been like, yeah, he didn't want to put up with Spielberg's bullshit. With Spielberg very much pushed safe, cutesy fun, and Don Bluth was opposite. That's why, again, I think they were a great match.
They reined each other in to make them the best that they could be.
Yeah, that's... Yeah. I mean...
That's like when Spielberg works as a producer with great directors like Goonies, Back to the Future, Gremlins, even Super 8. They elevate the material because they help each other out.
Yeah, and you know what? It's really weird. I always feel like Spielberg is two different people when it comes to his live action and his animation. He feels very much different. And I'm not saying with how people have talked about working with him. I'm just saying like his attitude towards it. With the live action, he's not afraid to show kids the darkness. I mean, look at all the movies that he did with it. But in his animation, he kind of just goes a 180 with that.
Well, he like I mentioned when we were talking about this, he does like the Looney Tunes style very well in the 90s because Looney Tunes wasn't a thing in the 90s. It was Spielberg's Looney Tunes in the 90s. He did Tasmania. He did Animaniacs. He
Welcome
did
to
Tiny
Tasmania.
Toons.
Welcome to Tasmania.
He did all those, and that's his style of kids. And I fucking loved it as a child. I watched all of those shows.
Yeah. Tiny Toons, Tasmania, Animaniacs,
Transylvania, Toonsylvania. All those. Like, I ate that shit up as a kid. I loved those
It was
shows.
fun.
Yeah.
But that's fine to do a TV series. I mean, that's what you should have fun. Going into this movie was directed by two different men. Phil Nibelink, which was a Nibelink. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Seems like it is. He's a former Disney animator, but the one that I found fascinating was Simon Wells, which is H.G. Wells' grandson. I was like, oh, that's why this has got weirdness in it.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that until this thing called Wikipedia. You heard of it?
No.
Yeah. I don't know if it's correct.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to catch on, this Wikipedia.
And also, you don't know if that's made up. Somebody could have just edited Wikipedia to say that, and we're just sharing that information like it's fact. Keep listening to us. We know all the truths.
This is Trump's America, baby.
Yeah.
Facts are useless.
That's right.
So, I thought it was interesting that they changed Fievel's sister. They gave her a ponytail and bangs and everything. They did her up a little bit.
She looks like a 90s girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you got to do what you got to do. It was interesting. John Lithgow and Martin Short were both considered for Cat Arwal. That one actually had a reference thing on it, so it was true. I can't see... I mean, John Lithgow, he's awesome. He can do whatever. I was like, okay, fine. I would be fine with that. But Martin Short, I was like,
too silly.
No.
Martin Short would have... If you didn't get John Lovitz, Martin Short would be a fun spider guy.
Yeah, I could see that. Now, this is interesting. So John Cleese, who voiced Cat Arwal, he turned down the role of Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast for this role.
Wow, he's probably like, fuck!
Yeah, instead Cogsworth went to Peoria, Illinois' own David Allen Ogden Steers. I don't know, man, that's a long freaking name, but you'll remember him from MASH.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so... I mean, he was great, Cogsworth, so I'm kind of glad. But I bet, are we going to have a fight on Beauty and the Beast here? Because I'm about to get into Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, go ahead. Say it.
These two movies came out on the same day. How stupid is that?
Oh my god, really? I mean, I'll say my controversial thing in that I think I like Fievel Goes West more than Beauty and the Beast.
I'm done! This podcast is over!
But I don't dislike Beauty and the Beast. I like that movie. I actually do like that movie. But I'm more... You know me, I'm more fun, whimsical. I like more of that. Beauty and the Beast is a little bit too prestige for me. I'm a gutter trash kid. I like just goofy.
Oh yeah, it's the opera of animation. I mean,
yeah, it's and I do like that movie. I do, but I am more partial to stuff like this because this is just stuff I like.
I've said this to certain people, but Beauty and the Beast script is perfect. Like, there is no wasted word. It is just a beautiful script. Like, it's just, the movie flies by. The music is perfect. The character development, everything about that movie is just, I mean, that's why it was in the fucking Oscars.
See, now, for Disney, I feel that way about Little Mermaid. I think Little Mermaid is just a perfect film.
I think Little
Mermaid...
Songs
are great, the script is great, the voices are great, the look of that film is great. The way people regard Beauty and the Beast is the way I regard Little Mermaid, which is not like that far off. They're still both considered classics.
No, I mean, when we were...
I like Little Mermaid like that. I think that movie's perfect.
I mean, when we were growing up, Disney made their, massive run of Little Mermaid. You had Beauty and the Beast, you had Aladdin, and then you had The Lion King. You're like, Jesus, Disney, calm the fuck down.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and I mean, as much as I can be a hater, all those movies are great movies. There's no way I would ever say that about those movies. I may not like Toy Story 3, but I'm not a fucking monster. Aladdin's amazing.
Yeah, I know, you're like, I'm going to say something controversial. Not that.
No. Lion King, that movie's fantastic. That's a cinematic classic. I'm not even fucking touching that. That's a great movie.
Well, the whole thing is just why did you release it the same day as Beauty and the Beast? I know they didn't know how, iconic it would be, but there's
Spielberg, too. He probably was thinking, my name alone is going to carry this above some Disney thing, and Disney was starting to hit their stride. They hadn't, fully rode their stride yet.
Well, no, they only had one massive... It was The Little Mermaid, which, kind of propelled them back into being big league players. But, there's so few animated... full-length features coming out at the time period. Why the fuck did you decide the same day? Just push it to closer to Christmas at least.
When did they? What did it?
November 22nd, 1991.
Maybe they're just trying to capture that fucking
Thanksgiving, but
yeah.
You can't. It's same demographic going to watch this.
If I'm Spielberg, I'm gonna put out American Tail a few weeks before. Not because, to try to get a jump on them or anything, but you're going to make that money through Thanksgiving then, from the first week you start through Thanksgiving, you're still going to get that money. Like, just come out 2 weeks before and you're solid.
Or 2 weeks after.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those big movies, they're front loaded. People see them in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. That was a bad idea.
Bad call.
The first film of this made a lot of money, $84 million. That was the record for any non-Disney animation at the time. Of course, Shrek, I think, owns it now.
I think Shrek 2, actually, is
Shrek
the one.
2, so one of them. Like I said, they made $1 zillion.
Yeah.
And this one, with overseas and domestic, 22 domestic, 18 overseas, made 40.7. So they say it made its money back. Again, it's very hard to tell how much this cost because two full-length animated films were being made at the same time, the same production company, the same animation studios, which kind of seems nuts over in London doing that.
Yeah,
but
it's too hard.
Yeah. It basically did half. It did less than half of the first film. And I think it has everything to do with, one, releasing it as the same day as Beauty and the Beast. Dumbasses.
Yeah.
And two, it's just not as good. It's perfectly acceptable. Now, you have nostalgia for it and you love it more. That's fine. But, I mean, looking at this compared to the first one, it's not as iconic. It's just not there.
It's funny, I always bring up, because when I look back at, early 90s movies, I bring up the City Slickers movies a lot, because I saw 2 a lot more, because it came out when I was younger, and 1 came out before I was born. I saw 2 a lot, and I love 2, and I've seen that one a ton. And it's like, I've seen City Slickers 1 a few times, not as many as 2, but a few times, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably the better movie. But when I go to pop one in, what's it going to be? I'm going to put in 2. That's the same way I feel about this. It's like, yeah, the first one might be a better movie, but I love the second one, because it's just it's what I'm going to rewatch over and over again or whatever. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I made a mistake and watched the first one on Mother's Day, and let me tell you, when he gets lost and then he's searching for his family, and at the end of the movie when he's hugging his family and they're reunited and everything like that, you're like, fuck, I gotta call my mom. It makes you feel it.
Yeah.
It just punches you in the gut. You're like, appreciate what you got, asshole.
Yeah. It's much more of a serious film, whereas this is the Universal attraction.
Now, did you see any of the sequels or spinoffs from the TV series at all that lasted 13 episodes?
I've probably seen it on TV, but it wasn't something that I was obsessed with or anything.
I didn't know there was 2 direct-to-video sequels for this. They're on Netflix, like I said. An American Tale, The Treasure of Manhattan Island, and An American Tale, The Mystery of the Night Monster.
See, I thought there was only one more, so I'm learning something, and I had no idea what they were called. So I've obviously never seen them. I only thought there was one more. Go figure.
You think I would have watched one of those, but I just didn't have time.
I would have watched, if I would have thought about it, I would have watched one of the episodes of the show, because I bet I've seen that before.
I got a note here, but the playground at Universal Studios, you want to tell your story?
Yeah, no, so when I was a kid, obviously I loved this movie, and I remember going to Universal and sort of wishing that the sewer scene was a ride, which it wasn't. Once I found out there was a Fievel's Playland, I was, enamored, and so I was probably, I think it was 5 when we went there,
Yeah.
and I played the shit through that thing, and it was basically just giant oversized statues of characters from the movie, and then a 4 kids westernscape to run through. That's all it was.
No wonder you like this film so much.
I lived it.
Yeah, for a 5-year-old, that's the greatest adventure ever.
Right. I got to play alongside Fievel, and I'm sure there was people dressed as the characters as well as the statues too. Yeah. And then run through the western town. How could I fucking not love this shit? And at the end of the playland, there's the water tower, and if you stand under it long enough, it dumps on you.
Yeah, that's magical. For a 5-year-old,
changes your life.
Yeah. It's when you're 13, you want to get dumped with the slime and Nickelodeon, right. And when you're 5, you want to get anything like that.
Yeah. You get the water from the leaking thing, because that's what it did. It leaked for a while, and you wait long enough, and then finally it dumps. Yeah, it was great. I loved Fievel's Playland. It was awesome. It's not there anymore.
Did you play any of the American Tail video games that came out? And I didn't even know these came out. It had a Tiger game. It also had a computer game and a Super Nintendo game. I was like, what? And then I saw they had a Game Boy Advance game called American Tail Fievel's Gold Rush that came out in 2002. I had to see that and looked it up on YouTube, and I was like, what?
That one, so okay, I didn't, the Tiger game, the computer game, and the NES game, never heard of. I have heard of Fievel's Gold Rush because I remember in 2002 when it came out, and it was at like the GameStops or wherever we fucking bought games in 2002, I don't remember. I remember when that came out, and I was like, oh, Fievel. I remember that movie when I was like a kid, and I was like, 12 or 13 or whatever when that game came out, and I was like, oh shit, like they're still doing it, good for them. I never played it or never saw it, but I like remember hearing that one coming out, but I never heard of the other ones.
Neither did I. I was like, what? I didn't realize that. I wouldn't think that this game would be something that you'd put on Super Nintendo. Yeah. I mean, Super Nintendo just didn't have a ton of bad games, and this seems like something that would go on the Nintendo, because that had numerous shitty titles.
The movies to game train. Yeah.
So, the soundtrack on this bad boy was really good, and Dreams to Dream was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Original Song. Sadly, it went up on the wrong year because it lost to Beauty and the Beast.
Now,
you know what? Don't fuck with Angela Lansbury because you're gonna lose.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I may choose this movie to watch over Beauty and the Beast any day because I like this kind of stuff. However, the songs are better in Beauty and the Beast. Not gonna argue there.
Yeah, that's a bad year to go up against like something like that. Because it's just. Oh, man, you do not want to go up against the music in that. Yeah. But also, I get, wow, you're so attached to this. Like you said, when you're a 5-year-old going to Universal, it's like you're reliving it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that's nostalgia pull at its best. It just pulls you right in.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I was saying before, too, it besides the nostalgia, I just go for stuff like this more than the prestige animation stuff. I like the more loose stuff. That's just like what I like. Yeah, but yeah, this also has the nostalgia factor as well. So of course I'm gonna side with it.
Just like stacking the deck here.
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Let's come back with what's going in the museum and what's next.
This is the second time I've had to reclaim my property from you.
That belongs in a museum.
So do you.
This is the part of the show where we put something in the museum just like Indy did. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. For my portion of the museum, I'm going to put in the soundtrack to this bad boy because I think the soundtrack is too good for this film sometimes. Even though I don't think this film's bad, like I've said, it's perfectly acceptable. But man, it's a really good soundtrack.
The James Horner score is quite great. It's James Horner, right?
Yes.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I really like it. His score in this. It's really good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There was parts in the movie where they were doing transitioning and you could hear the soundtrack in the background. This feels like a Disney score.
The day I watched this last week or whatever it was, the whole day I was kind of humming the Western theme of this. It's stuck in my head. It's gone now, but I was feeling it. I was definitely feeling it.
I was feeling the music in this. Yeah, definitely. I wasn't being a total Grinch on this movie.
You know me, I always put something positive in for the most part, and I'm going to do it again here. I'm going to put in the scene which transitions the movie in from super serious, depressing like the first movie into theme park, and that is the water ride scene of the sewer. Because, for two reasons, this is the movie that sort of the moment that tickled the nostalgia bone. I was watching the movie and I was like, God, I don't remember any of this. I was like, it's so much chaos at the beginning. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I don't remember any of this. As soon as those motherfuckers got in the water, I was like, I remember everything. I remember this movie. I've seen it. I've seen it 100 times. I remember this now. And then
I've awoken from my coma. Yeah, I know everything.
Yes. It took me the beginning. I was struggling through. I was like, fuck, I don't remember any of this. I'm like, this is good, but I don't remember it. And then that moment happened and it shot me back. And then second, just watching it now as an adult, I still want that to be a theme park ride. It's a fun scene, and the way the camera moves and dips and flows through that. It feels like a ride, and I was like, wow, man, I wish I like could ride. I wish I could be in this. And it's like green sewer water, so it's gross, but I picture it as like this green like theme park water where it's fake and everything like that. And I would probably love it still today. The kid in me would come out for sure in that.
I want to ride it right now.
So that's got to go. The sewer ride is my museum pick for the.
You know what part I remembered from kid watching this is the marionette.
Oh yeah, that was another one.
And I was thinking
so
the same
specific,
thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, are these mice? I remember as a kid thinking like, I don't think they're very smart. I can tell that's a pup. You know, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like even as an adult, I had the exact same feeling. I'm like, come on, guys, half the body just went limp.
Kind of a horrifying marionette, though. If like I saw, because it's life size to them. If I saw that, like a person moving like that, I wouldn't think marionette. I would think nightmare creature.
It is a nightmare creature, and all those mice are desperate and dumb.
Yes,
because. I was like, that marionette just had a stroke. Half the body's not moving. So that closes out your animation month. And man, it went quick.
It did. We flew through these, I think, varying degrees of enthusiasm for each of the films. But I think we found some good picks for this one to talk about.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, the Extraordinary Tales at the beginning surprised me.
Yeah.
Then we had Fern Gully, a nice nostalgia, just like dream. I was like, oh, okay, I remember that, and it's okay. And then G.I. Joe just kind of like liquefied my brain.
Yes. And then this was a nice bounce back because it's kind of an even keel movie. And it's just like, oh, yeah, this is nice.
It's like we landed on after going through the hell that was trying to figure out G.I. Joe, now we just landed on a nice pillow that Steven Spielberg specifically made for us.
Yes. And I love it. I love him for it. This was nice. But this next month is going to be June, and it's your pick. And what are we doing in June?
I want you guys to imagine tall grass. You can't see anything, and then a face peers out with a bunch of teeth. It's Jurassic June, and this fucker's gonna bite you.
We're gonna kick off the month with Theodore Rex, which I feel like is just like the perfect thing to kick this off since we're such New Line geeks.
I thought we'd be canon geeks, but we've turned into complete New Line geeks.
It's because we lived through more of the New Line.
True.
And New Line is basically the new canon, the new sort of
like the 80s is kind of like the canon, the 90s is New Line, and then I can't really remember what 2000s were, but I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out in this podcast.
There was something.
Because that's really the last of the VHS.
Yeah, 2005-06 was the end of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's a good way to kick it off. And then the second week, we're telling them all, right? We're going to give it all?
Give it a one. So the second week, we are doing Dinosaurs, a fun-filled trip back in time. And you might remember this claymation. I hope you do, because I got myself an original Dinosaurs VHS. This is no reprint here. Thank you, Bric-a-Brac. This looks awesome. I can't wait to watch this.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I rented this tape a lot as a kid, but I don't remember it at all now. So that'll be fun to rediscover.
Our third movie is going to be one that you can find on YouTube. It is called Raptor Ranch. I think it actually has a new title now, but if you just Google Raptor Ranch, you'll find it on YouTube. It is a classic indie B film that Matt and I will thoroughly enjoy, and hopefully you do too. And we'll have a special guest on for that episode. And then the next week, we'll have Jurassic Park 3.
Yes, because it's the one we had easily available on VHS.
Yes, it's very shiny. You could not notice this VHS. And then we will end the month with Jurassic World 2, The Fallen Lost, I forgot the title, volcano film.
Yes, I am so excited for this film. And I know I'm alone on this, but I don't care. Let me have this. Let me have this alone.
It is like they said, fuck it, we're going full trash on this, because the last trailer that I put up on the Facebook page, which by the way, you can follow us on Facebook, is it just kind of like, fuck it, it's going to be a buddy cop movie where Blue and him are running through and they're running away from a volcano, and part of me, the junk trash part of me, is attracted to this, while like the Beauty and the Beast side of me is like, I would never watch that.
Well, I don't have that side of me. I'm broken in that way. So I am thoroughly excited for Jurassic World, and I'm sure I'm going to be extraordinarily disappointed. So, because the worst thing that movie can be is boring, and that's what I'm afraid it's going to be. But my hope is that it's just trashy start to finish, and I'm going to love it. So we'll see. We'll see when we get there.
Oh, it better make a decision. If it's going to be trash, you be trash, and you be proud of it.
Own it. So that's our Jurassic month, and I think it's going to be really fun. We've been picking stuff that with Raptor Ranch and Jurassic World that we hope you'll be able to see before we talk about it, and we're keeping the rest VHS because I know you guys like to watch them before we talk about them because we have no filter for spoilers. So at least
and the new movies we at least warn you.
Yeah, we warn you it's coming.
If you come to this podcast and you look at something that says An American Tail, Fievel Goes West VHS movie review, and you can't figure out that we're going to spoil it, what's wrong with you? You need to look inward.
That's on you, not on us. But we'll take apart those 5 movies, and I'm excited to talk about all of them because I haven't seen a couple of them I've never seen, obviously, and then the other half of that is I haven't seen in so long that I'm excited to go back and revisit.
Oh yeah, I mean, Animation Month was so much fun, and now we're just going in a completely different direction, and it's great.
Yes, you'd think we'd have a thread and just do We're Back, but no, that's too easy. No, we're better than that.
No, plus I don't have that VHS.
I do. We can do it at some point, but it'd be too easy if we did it now.
It would make too much sense.
Yes, and we don't do that here.
And fuck that.
Fuck that. That's boring. All right, well, we'll see you next week for Theater Rex.
Remember to rate and review us on iTunes. You can also listen to us on Google Play now. Yay!
Yay! I can listen to it on my Android.
Of course, we've got Podbean, YouTube, Stitcher, all those things. And you can always follow us on Facebook and join the conversation. By the way, we have a Twitter too, and apparently it releases every episode. I have never once seen it.
Cool. I don't know how to do Twitter, so you're on your own.
Tweet, motherfucker. All right, take it easy. Remember to be kind.
Rewind.